Good morning, guys. Let us continue with the next point. So last time we started with that list, not list, the set. So list is something we already have finished yesterday. We already have seen one more collection called as tuple, and we have seen another collection called as a set. We already have discussed the differences between a list and tuple. One being a mutable, you can modify the values within it, and the other one is immutable. I'm talking about something like a list being a mutable and tuple being immutable. Immutable is something which is not going to allow you to modify the values, which means once created, you cannot change the things. Okay, that's the reason it's called as immutable. When you talk about the set is also set is also mutable because you can add the values within it, you can remove the values. And if you can recall, we have seen two methods. One is called as a discard and the other one is called as remove, for removing the values from a set. So this is something that we have seen yesterday, we have explored yesterday. Now today we have to continue further. We have to see one more collection called as dictionary, and then we'll have to look at a couple of more advanced topics. Okay. Adesh, no, I'm not using professional, I'm using community version. Or am I using professional? I don't remember. I think it's a community edition. Yes, I did not upgrade to professional. So that's a community edition. And the good thing about this, Adesh, is community edition has almost all the features which professional edition has. Professional has a bit more advanced features, which generally we don't need when we are doing the educational purpose. Okay, so that's the reason. Anyways, so let's continue with the next point. I think I already have shared the code sharing utility. So you can go back to your student portal, refresh there. You will see the code. I'm going to start writing a first file and probably you'll be able to see and write the code along with me. Okay, so here I am. Let's say page 1. Oh, sorry. Yep, here it is. So page 1, and let us start with this. Okay, so quickly, let's recap the yesterday's case and then we'll continue further. So this is another function, function 1. We started that yesterday. And here I'm going to create one, let's say set. So this is the set 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. Hopefully you can recall, we have seen set theory or set methods, which is something like a, one sec, let me set this properly. I don't know why it is complaining every time. Anyway, so when we are doing this set, I think we have discussed a couple of different methods. One of them is called as union, the other one is called as intersection, and the last one is called as difference. We already have explored that yesterday. Now, quickly, when I say S1, you can still go back here and say add, and you can add new value new value on the fly or new value dynamically. Let's say I can add value 16. Even if I add that couple of times, it's not going to change because this is a set. Set is going to be a collection of unique values. So even if you're adding multiple times, still set will consider this as single value or unique value. Also, you can come back and remove the values as well. So when I say remove, I can remove value 20. I can also remove it by using discard method. So discard is like 40, for example. And let me print S1 one more time. So when you talk about this set, the one thing is for sure that you can modify the collection, means you can add new values and you can also remove the values or discard the values. That means this is a mutable. Now, when I say mutable, mutability is the feature which will allow you to modify the state of an object. Now, when I say state of an object, in this case, you can modify the collection. You can add new values, you can remove existing values. If you are able to see these features on a collection or on an object, for example, this is said to be a mutable object. Now, sometimes, again, as we have discussed this earlier, most of the times people generally prefer using immutable objects for the performance reason. So if you really want to go for immutable set, the set which is not going to change, if you want something like this, then you can go for another type of set, which is called as a frozen set. So this is exactly similar concept we have seen yesterday. It just, we are using a different class. So for example, we are going to say this is a S1. S1 is a frozen set. That's it. Now, when you say frozen set, right inside this, you can add all the values within it. So maybe I can say 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, whatever. So if I say 10, 20, 30, 40, or 30, maybe a couple of times, you know that because it's considered as a set. Frozen set is also a set. It is again going to give you a set with unique values. So this is immutable. Now, why it is immutable? I'll tell you that in a second. But before that, let me come back here and say this is S1. Let's print this S1 first. And let's print the type. Let's make sure that we are getting it as a frozen set. This is S1. and probably I'll just go back here and say function 2. Let me run this code, and probably you can see that it's also considering 1023 only once. Though we are having couple of times, it's still considering it only once. It's just because it is a frozen set, and frozen set itself is a set. So because it's a set, we are considering this as a collection of unique values. And because it's a collection of unique values, you can say that it is going to have those 10, 20, 30 values only once. So probably this is the way we can do the job. Okay, so now one thing is sure, set and frozen set, both of them are the collection of unique values. So what's the difference? S1 we have seen earlier, it's a kind of mutable collection, and a frozen set we are looking at right now, it's a immutable collection. What is immutability? Again, immutability means once created, you cannot modify this set. And if I try to, so say s1 dot add, you see add function is missing. Even if I say remove function is missing, discard function is missing. So all of them are missing. What you can do max is the union or intersection or difference, and those functions we have seen yesterday. So basically, because these functions are missing, add, remove, discard, that means once created, you cannot modify the set at runtime or dynamically, and that's the reason this is called as an immutable set. So we have seen two sets. One is mutable, the other one is immutable. Mutable is a set and immutable is a frozen set. The name itself will tell you, frozen. Once created, you cannot change it. It's a frozen. That's why it's called as a immutable object. So now we know what is a set, what is a frozen set. Let us continue further and explore one more type of collection. So I'm talking about the next type of collection, which is called as a dictionary. Now this is this is the frozen set. Now let's continue with the dictionary. Now the dictionary one which we are going to use is a little bit different than all of these collections. And before that, let's consider a second page, and then we'll start writing the code there better. So if I want to create a dictionary object, now what is a dictionary? I'll mention that in a minute. But before that, let's come back here and quickly finish this topic. This is something we already have done with list and tuple. I didn't show you that what's with set, because set and dictionary, they are a little bit different. So let's see. I'm talking about creating an empty list here. So this is an empty list. You know how to do that. All we are going to say here is L1, for example, is equals to empty bracket or empty subscript, or L1 is equals to, again, a list function. So probably you can say that this is an empty list. This is also an empty list. Just to make the things clear, let me come back here and say this is L1 and the type of L1, just to make sure that we are getting an empty list, L1. Let me do it for here. This is empty list. This is an example of empty list. And the same thing, I'm going to come back here and say, this is an example of empty tuple. Basically, this is going to be almost similar. It just, T1, and we don't need to call any function. We can just directly use the parenthesis, and this will give me a way to, just continue this and say L2 better. Forgot to say that. So here I'm going to say T1 equals to T1 and the data type of T1. That's it. Again, I can do the same thing, empty tuple, by using a tuple function. So you know that, so that's a tuple. So probably you can say T2. This is going to be a T2 now. This is a T2, and this is a T2. So that is how we are kind of creating a empty tuple. So we have created empty list. We have created empty tuple. Now, before going for an empty set, let me first make sure that we are getting the things like what we are expecting. Yes, both of them are lists, and both of them are tuples. This is something we already have seen last time. Now, this is a little bit surprising, because when you want to create an empty set, and if you say something like S1 is equals to something like a curly bracket, because we already have seen curly bracket is the way we can use or we can create a set. But if you do it something like this, see what happens here. So probably I can just copy this one and say this is going to be an S1, which is a set. So this is S1 again, this is S1 again. And if I do it this way, probably you will surprise to see that it's not creating empty set, rather it is creating an empty dictionary. So precisely speaking, whenever you are using curly brackets, only curly brackets, you cannot expect it as an empty set. This is an empty dictionary rather. So that's a reason. Please make sure that if someone is asking you to create an empty set, you cannot create an empty set like this. You have to call, there is no option. You have to call a set function to create an empty set. So there is no way you can create it by using curly brackets. The moment you use a curly bracket, it will change the data type to dictionary. This is an empty set now. So for list, for tuple, and for dictionary, we can create empty objects by using either parentheses, square brackets, or curly brackets. But for set, there is no option. You have to call set as a function. And unless you call a set function, you will not be able to create an empty set. So remember that. It's important to create an empty set because set is a mutable. That means you can get the values from user dynamically and you can put them inside that set. So that is possible. So that's a reason whenever you don't have the values, you can create an empty set and then further you can add the values as per your requirement. So this is how we can create empty objects. Now we are going to continue with the dictionary and see what dictionary is and how we can use the dictionary object to add some data inside it. Now I can make sure that we can do it here itself. This is an empty dictionary. Now what is a dictionary? I'll tell you that in a second, but let me first create an empty dictionary. Now empty dictionary can be created by using two ways. Again, the way we already have seen here, this is a curly bracket. Curly bracket will not create a set. Instead, it will create a dictionary. So remember that. And if you want to create an empty dictionary, you have another option as well, which is going to be a function. So this is a dict function. Dict stands for dictionary. And you can call this in order to create empty dictionary. So this is another way to do it. That's it. This is the way you can say that. So I'm calling that function one, and see here we are having dictionary, both of them are dictionaries, and yeah, the things are working fine. So basically when you're talking about the collection here, we are having four types of collections. One is called as a list. The second one is called as a tuple. The third one is called as a set. And the fourth one is called as an empty, fourth one is called as a dictionary. The one which I didn't include here is the frozen set. Let me include that as well. And again, there is no way you can use curly bracket for that. So you simply have to use a frozen set function. So I'll say frozen set. This is going to be S2. So this is how we are kind of creating all the objects, all the, you can say collections in Python. So this is a kind of summary of all the collections we have seen so far. The last one we are exploring right now. Okay, so probably I'm just going to make this commented and let us start with the next one. The next one is where we are going to create a dictionary. So let us understand what is a dictionary and how dictionary can be useful. Now coming back here, I'm going to create a function 2, and right inside this function 2, I want to say like I have some personal details, person's details, not personal, person's details. Like I have person's name, person's let's say address, person's age, and person's email. So if you want to do it, I can create different variables like name is equals to person1, something like this, or maybe say address is equals to Pune, or maybe I can say email is equals to something like person1@test.com, and so on and so forth. So basically we can get all the person details and we can put them in variable like this. But it's not one. I have, let's say, a couple of different person details. So probably we'll have to think about creating different variables like this. So probably I can say this is name1 for person1, this is name2 for person2, and so on and so forth. So if I continue doing this, I still will solve my problem. It's not like problem is getting solved, but can you see a problem here? The problem here is when you think about this condition, then you have to think about 3 different variables to represent one single person. And that is the reason this is not efficient. Though it may solve your problem, but it's not efficient. Now, what can you do then? Now, better we can just convert this into a collection. Which type of collections? We already have 3 collections last time. So probably I can go back here and say this is a kind of person1, and then I can put the person1's data into a collection like square bracket or a list. So probably the data is like this: person1, let's say Pune, and say person1@test.com. This is my person1, and let's say this is my person2. So I can do it. So this way we don't have to just use multiple variables. We can use only one variable or one single collection, and the collection will have all the details about that person. Things work. I mean, I can go for person1, person2 in this way, or I can go for person1 and person2 in the other way. You decide which one you want to go for. There is a disadvantage of using list. Probably you know that list means you can add or delete existing values, which is not recommended. So I don't want to go for a list. I mean, though this is one way, but I don't want to prefer this. because I know the value is not going to change, or I don't want to add any more details about the person. So I will rather convert them into a tuple, not a list, something like this. So you use tuple, let's say a tuple, or you can go for a list, or you can also go for a set as well. Set has its own problem. I hope you know that when you are going for set, the order is something that you cannot guarantee. So that is a very different case, or that is a very different way to get the values from it. So that's the reason, again, this is not at all recommended. So probably I can go for either list or tuple. Both of them can solve my problem. So set is not the way to solve the problem. So just consider that this is one way to do it, but there's no way you can get the values in a particular order. So you can go for tuple and list to store these kind of details. Let me go back here and try to get the person details. See the problem first. So if I want to get person's name, how do I get the person's name? I know that the person's name is available on the 0th position of that tuple. So probably I can go back here and say, hey, person one, just give me your person's name. That's it. Maybe if I want to get the person's address, so maybe I can say address is equals to person one of let's say 1. And if I want to go for person's, let's say, email, this is how we can do it. And I can come back here and say person's email, which is on the last position, that is a 2. Yeah, it solves my problem. If I just come back here and say function 2 and say give it a try, yeah, I can see that the name is equals to person 1, address equals to Pune, email is equals to person 1 at test.com. Things work. But see the problem. The problem here is when you talk about getting the values, see, this is a tuple. So I may change the order here, and probably you know that even if you change the order, tuple is not going to complain. But if you are trying to get the details about the second person, see the problem now. Hopefully you will be able to anticipate it. You don't even have to run the code, but still I'm going to do it here. And I'll say that give me the data about that person 1. I'm assuming that person 1 and person 2, both of them are similar. And that's the reason I'm going to follow the same order. Same order in a sense, 0 will be name, 1 will be address, and 2 will be email. So I don't know that the second person is a kind of having a different order. For me, person is going to have 0th position as a name, first position as an address, and second position as an email. So if I come back here and say run, probably you see these things are a little bit scrambled. You see, this is person2@test.com. It is considering it as an address. This is considering it as an email, which is totally invalid. So I can solve my problem by using a tuple, but tuple has a big problem of ordering or insertion order. So if by mistake I put the address on the wrong location or on the wrong position, I will get it interpreted as a different value, which is something I cannot accept. So to solve these kind of problems where you have the collection or you have the values, and I want to add them in a collection, but I don't want to be dependent on the position or the index position of it, I'll go for something called as a dictionary. So what is a dictionary? Let me show you an example here. This is function 3, and still I want to continue with the same example, same problem. I have person details like person 1 Pune, and let's say something like this one. I'll pick this up and I'll say that this is the person 1. See what I'm trying to show you here. So I can come back here and say this is the person 1, and the person 1 is having the data like person 1 Pune and person 1 at test.com. Now to make the things a little bit clearer, I can say what is person 1, what is Pune, and what is person 1 at test.com. It seems like person 1 is the name of a person. So maybe I can use name as a key, put a colon, and then I put that in front of person 1. What is a Pune? So Pune for me is an address of that person. So I can put an address, put a colon, and put this in front of this Pune value. And what is a person 1 at test.com? It seems like it is an email of that person. And that's how I can say the data is now associated with some keys. What you get here is something called as a dictionary. A dictionary is nothing but it's a collection of key value pairs. So this is a key value pairs. Now, when I say key value pairs, you see that here name, address, and email, all of them are the keys. Person 1 Pune and person 1 at test.com, all of them are values. So if I just come back here and if I try to print the person 1, let's see, maybe it's something like this, person 1 again, let's put that person 1 here and say the type is equals to type of person 1. So let's give it a try and see what does it bring. So it brings all the values inside a something called as a dictionary. And dictionary is nothing but collection of key value pairs. So name is key, person one is value, address is key, Pune is value, email is key, person1@test.com is a value. So this is how we can get a collection which is a little bit different than what we have seen earlier. This is not simply a collection of values, it's a collection of key value pairs where every value is associated with the key. Now you might ask this question like, what's an advantage of using a key value pair? Can't we simply add all of these values in one single collection, like going for a tuple, or maybe if you can go for a list, this will still solve your problem. But did you remember I mentioned that the problem with the list or tuple is like the ordering. So if you change this order by mistake, by accident, then you are going to get the value interpreted as a different one. And that is the reason why we are not dependent on these orders. And I really want to go for a better option. The better option here is something called as a dictionary. So if it is a dictionary, let's continue using this and let's explore the advantages or explore the methods. The very first thing is like, let me try to do the same thing what I did earlier. So here I'm going to come back here and say, this is my person one, and I want to get the person one's data. So this is the person one probably, and I'll get the person one data. Person two, I still don't have it. Let me put that in comment for a minute and let's try to get the value. I'm sorry. Now, because it is a person one, you see it's trying to give me an error. It says there is no key with the name, or there is no key as a 0 here. This is a kind of collection which is having the key value position. So you cannot just go for 0, 1, 2 as a positions, because the values here are having the associated keys. So in order to get the values, we have to use those keys. If I want to get the person's name, so I'll have to use that person name as a key. If I want to get the person's address, I'll have to go for person's address as a key. And if I want to go for person's email, I'll have to use that email as a key. Now this brings all the values again on console. See this, I'm getting person one as a person's name, Pune as a person's address, and person1@test.com as person's email. So probably this is a little bit different than what we have seen last time. All the others, they are using something like positions based on the integers, 0, 1, 2, 3, and so on and so forth. This is a little bit different. Here we are having keys as strings. So name is a string, address is a string, email is a string, and that's how we are kind of getting the values associated with those keys. Now let me just come back here and say I want to create one more person. See, I'm going to go back to that person two, the one which we already have done last time. So this is my person two. The address is Mumbai, for example, and the email address is person2@test.com. So this is person two, again person two, and person two. Let's come back here. Let's try to run this again, uncomment this and run this again. So probably I'll have to change this again. I'll have to change this one again. Sorry, my bad. So we'll have to go back here and say person one name, person two name, person two address, and person two email. So now this is going to give me the data about person two. So I'm getting the data again. But see the advantage. Let's put this name maybe somewhere in between these two. So last time when I was doing the reordering, my data was coming with a different interpretation. Let us see what happens this time. So this time when I'm trying to run the code, it doesn't matter. So probably you must have seen that here, name is person one, address is Pune, email is person1@test.com. Here also, name is person two, address is Mumbai, and email is person2@test.com. So it doesn't matter whether you are having them in the right order or whether you are changing the orders, still you are going to get the value for a particular key. So here we are not dependent on the index positions because every value is having a key associated with it. So this is the value, this is the key, this is the value, this is the key. And again, this is the value, this is the key. So probably when you talk about, a dictionary, dictionary has an advantage. In dictionary, all the values are associated with the keys and you don't have to be dependent on the index positions. You can simply use something like a key here in order to get the value of that particular position or of that particular key. That is an advantage of using dictionary. Those who are coming from JavaScript, they might have encountered something called as a JSON. So JSON exactly look like this. So probably those who already know JSON, for them, this is nothing but a dictionary, which is similar to JSON in other languages like JavaScript. Anyways, so let's come back here and see if this is a dictionary. I want to get some more data about that dictionary. For example, let me come back here and just put some couple of lines and then say I want to get all the keys from this person's object. So probably I can say, hey, just give me all the keys first. So if I want to get the keys, I can say person1 or person2, doesn't matter. I can use that function called as keys, and this keys is going to give me all the keys present here. You see, these are my dictionary keys like name, address, and email. Very good. Now, similarly, I have another method which is going to give me all the values associated with those keys. So these are my keys, and I want to go for the values. So maybe I can say values from person1, and you can see that now we have separated them. This is a key, this is the value. This is the key, this is the value. This is the key, this is the value. So that is how we can do the job. So probably you can see that we are having a collection as an object, or collection, dictionary as a collection, sorry. And a collection in the dictionary like collection is having two things. One is the set of keys, and the second one is the set of values. It's like the keys and values, they stick together, and that's how it will be easy for us to get the value for a particular key. And that's a reason why dictionary is a little bit different than something like a list, or something like a tuple, or something like a set or frozen set. That's a little bit different. But again, this has its own advantages. Every collection has its own pros and cons. When you go for list is mutable. It follows the insertion order. You can have duplicate values. That's a advantage of it. In disadvantage, like this is immutable. So this is the mutable in the sense it takes more memory. When you go for tuple has its own advantage. It's immutable. So when you go for tuple, once created, you cannot change its value. So it has its own advantage. It takes lesser memory, and of course, not lesser memory should I say, but it is a faster than a list one. So that is because of immutability. Set has its own advantage. The set is going to allow you to only have unique values. And again, frozen set and set, both of them are having the similar properties. The only difference is set is mutable, frozen set is immutable. Now, what is an advantage of dictionary? The dictionary is going to have all the key value pairs. It will be easy for us to represent the data. So data is like address is Pune, or email is person1, or name is person1, and so on and so forth. So basically, even if you reorder them, still you are going to get the data in this particular fashion. There is no change even if I do that reordering. So that is an advantage of using dictionary. Believe me or not, but most of the times when you are getting the data from one location to another location, let's imagine you are having a server out there and you are getting the data from a database, and then you are sending it to your client. You will always get the data in terms of key value pairs, or you will always get the data in terms of a dictionary. So dictionary is going to be very important. It's the simplest one to consider, but it's a very important one, at least when you are having ton of data with you. So when you are going to read the data from files, for example, you are having a CSV file, or when you are having an Excel file. So all of them will give you the data in this format, dictionary format. Anyways, we will need some more time to go to that point, but at least I'm just making a kind of a foundation here. So this is a dictionary which is going to give you the data in terms of key value pairs. Remember that. Okay. Adesh, how much memory is taken by a list, tuple, and other variables? Right now, don't worry about the memory, because right after we are done with the object-oriented programming, we are going to talk about something called as a NumPy, and there I'll show you how much memory a list takes, how much memory something called as a NumPy array takes, and we'll compare both of them, and you will see the NumPy is taking almost 1/8 the memory of list. Okay, so hold your question. You will definitely get an answer in the first session of NumPy. Okay. Tanya, your question, how can we access an element if we have the list of various dictionaries? Yes, exactly. Right after we are done with this, the next point is dictionary of dictionaries, or maybe something like array of array, or sorry, list of list, or tuple of tuples, or list of tuples, tuple of list, a list of dictionaries, and something like this. Okay, just hold your question. Today itself, you are going to get an answer. Okay, Nidhi, your question, can we have a duplicate keys in the pair? No, you can't. So basically, when you are having duplicate key, let's say I'm having an email here one more time and say this is going to be person3@test.com. You see that you are having the exact same key. Because you are having exact same key, the second value will be kept, the first value will be discarded. In a sense, if I look at the person2 is not going to tell me like this is a person2@test.com. It's going to consider this as a person3@test.com. So Nidhi, you cannot have duplicate keys. Duplicate keys means you can have the same key, but the latest value will be used, not the previous one. I hope Nidhi, you can understand that, right? Even if you think logically, whenever you're talking about a person having an email, when I say an email, that simply means it can be either this or that. In case of dictionary, it is going to discard this one and it's going to consider this one. If you want to keep both the emails, then this is the way you should go for. I'll show you an example of better option here. So I'll keep it as it is for your reference. I'll say that the second email will be kept or will be visible, whatever, and the first one will be discarded. Okay, I'll show an example here, which will give you an option to have multiple different values for different keys. See this, Nidhi, that will solve your problem. I know what you're talking about. A person may have more than one email. How will you solve this problem? So this is the way to solve that problem. Coming back here, I'm going to create one more person. This is the person one. It is a dictionary. Naturally, I'll go for curly bracket here. You may put the data in one single line, or you may span it across lines. It doesn't matter. So this is a little bit more readable. So I have person's name. This is the person's name. Let's say person one. I have person's age, for example. Watch what I'm doing here. Age is, let's say, 40. Who cares? This is a number. This is an integer, you know. Maybe I have person's salary. Let's say person's salary is 10.50. I don't care. Then I have person's address. But what I want to do here is, I just want to mention, I just don't want to mention only the person's address as a full name. I want to split that into 3 parts, like city, state, and country. Not a big deal. We can put one more dictionary within a dictionary. And then we can say, hey, the person's city is, let's say, Pune. Okay, person's state is a kind of MH, and country none other than India. So this is the way we can, you know, just have different values for different keys. Next, I want to come back and say, because I have an age, I don't have to, but it's okay. I can go for here and say, I'll ask the question, hey, can person vote? Because the address, because the age is equals to 40, which is greater than 18, I'll say, yeah, the person can vote, for example. Other than that, as you said, Nidhi, a person is going to have multiple emails. So I'm going to use a key called as email. And in this case, I'll have multiple email addresses. So maybe I'll say this is person one at the rate, let's say home.com. This is the home email, or maybe personal email. This is the company email, and so on and so forth, you know. So you can have multiple different things here. Or if you want to go for one more, you know, only for those special cases, special moments, you know, so special people, special.com, who cares? So probably you can see we are having different values for a key, for different keys. This is a string. This is a integer. This is a decimal or float. This itself is a dictionary. This is a kind of a Boolean, and this is a list. So probably one single example will cover all different aspects of a dictionary. The dictionary can have multiple values there. Naturally, you can go for all the keys and you can print all of them separately by saying something like F, what I need to print, name. So I can get the same thing. There is no difference while getting the values. So there we'll have to say name, again print what, age is equals to age, that's person one of age, and so on and so forth. There is no change here. So probably I'll just go back here and say function 4. There is no change while getting the values. It just while setting the values or while creating a dictionary, you can do something like this. So probably when you do something like this, I don't want to go for getting the result or getting the data one by one like this, name, age, and other things. I want to do it dynamically. Do you remember last time I talked about getting all the keys out of this? So probably I can say keys is equals to person one dot keys. The keys will give me the list of keys here. Now these keys are having, let's say, name, age, salary, address, can vote, and email. So we already have seen that last time. And if you don't believe me, just let me print that. And yes, this is how we are going to get the values. Oh, sorry, key values. So this is the key: name, age, salary, address, can vote, and email. Now, if I have the keys, I can definitely go back and run a for loop on it. So probably I can come back here and say, hey, just run a for loop and say for, let's say, key in keys, and then you can print the value for that particular key. So this is the way we can dynamically print all the values within that key. So probably I can say print, let's say key is equal, key is equal to value. So how do I get the value? I'll say person one of key. So this is the way we can do it. So this is the key, let's say name, and a person of name, or let's say age, person of age, and so on and so forth. So when I say run, probably you see I'm getting all the values here. This is the person's name, this is person's age, this is person's salary, person's address, person's whether the person can vote or not, and these are the person emails. That's it. This is the way we can do it. So dynamically, I can get all the keys, and with respect to that keys, I'm going to get the values, and then I'll put them on console. And yeah, that really works. Okay. So Nidhi, this is the way we can do it. And I hope this example will not only for you, but basically for all of you. This example is more than sufficient to understand the power of dictionary. You can have literally anything inside it. So you can have a dictionary within a dictionary, you can have a list within a dictionary, you can have a number, you can have a simple string or whatnot. You decide what you want to go for. So probably you can go for this, okay? So when you talk about something like this, I hope that solves many of your problems. So this is the way you can do that, okay? Someone is saying, someone is having a question. Priti, you are asking like how to print the address. I think address you can directly print it here if you really want to print it like this way. So printf address, and you can go for address, something like this. So if you want, you can go for this, or we already have done that last time. This is the way you can print the address. But if you really want to print the address in terms of, something like a city, state, and a city, state, and country, not like this way, but like Pune, comma MH, comma India. I think this is what you are looking for. Am I right? Was that Priti? Is that what you're looking for? And if you are looking for this, I'll show you how it can be done. Now, please try to visualize it. When I say person one of address, you see that person one of address is going to be a dictionary itself. Now, if it is a dictionary, then I want to print that address in this way. See, the address is going to have first city, second state, and third country. Now to go to this city, I first need to get the address, meaning we'll have to first say this as it is, and this is going to give me this dictionary, which is going to have different keys. So put one more square bracket and say, hey, I need city there. Maybe I need, say, state here. And what I need here, I need a country here. That's it. This is what you're looking for, Priti. So if I say run, this is exactly you're going to get at Pune, MH, and India. I know it's a little bit difficult to visualize for the first time, but if you can see, the dictionary is a kind of a collection of key value pairs. And if you can reach here, I mean, if you can get a dictionary by saying person one of dictionary, you can say person one of dictionary of city, of state, of country, and you will get the values like Pune, MH, and India. I think that solves your problem, Priti. Okay. So basically, if I want to go for, let's say, first email, second email, and third email individually, then probably I can do it in this way. I hope you must have got the answer now. So first email, for example, or maybe I know that first email is the home email. So I'll say this is the home email. How do I get the home email? I can say person one of email of 0, because that's a list. I'm going to go back and say 0, and 0 will give me something like a home email. You see, this is the way we can do it. I think it's better we can just put one single, dash around it. I can go for 3 different emails separately, individually. This is my first one, second one. What is this? This is my company email, for example, and this is only for my special people. So I'll say something like this, I can see that, see home email, that's home.com, company email, company.com, special email, special.com. See, this is what I'm going to go for. You can think of it as a kind of multi-dimensional list. But again, important thing here is this is a single dictionary. A dictionary can have literally any value. But here, the mandatory stuff is key must be a string. In a sense, this is a key, and this key has to be a kind of string here. So name, age, salary, address, can vote, email, all of them are keys, and value can be anything. Value can have a string, or maybe an integer, or maybe a float, or maybe a dictionary itself, or maybe you can go for anything. So that's how we can do it. I hope that solves your problem. Good. Maybe the next question, Dipanjan, function 3 is a key email holding a list. Yeah, that's correct. This is the key holding a list. This is the email which is holding a list here. Absolutely right. Maybe Tanya, your question, dictionary 1, though, how to convert it to dictionary 2, A, B, and B1? Is it reversing the key values? That is reversing the key values. It's pretty simple, isn't it? So probably if you are trying to do it, I hope you can easily do that. It's just a logic, by the way. So you can easily do that by running the key value pairs. So what you can do here is, you can say this is my dictionary 1, let's say D1, which is having the key, what did you say? 1A. No, you can't go for 1A actually. You should go for, maybe I'll say something like or maybe I'll say key 1, better. key 1 and a V1. I think that will be better. So key 2 and the V2. So this is how we can start getting all the key value pairs. And then you can go back here and say, this is the D2. D2 is an empty dictionary. By the way, we already have mentioned to create an empty dictionary, you can simply go for curly brackets and that will create dictionary, not a set. Okay, so now when we are having this D1 and D2, I can run a for loop there and I can say get all the keys and get all the values. So probably I can go for, there are two ways, but I'm going to go with a simple way first. So I'll say for key, in D1 dot keys, this is going to give me the list of keys. And if I want to get the value, it's D1 of value. So what you can do here is I can say D2 of value. How do I get the value? To get the value, I'm going to get, see, this is the value I'm going to get by saying D1 of key. So I have the value, I have the key. So here I'll say if the value is equals to key, that is going to solve your problem. So print D2, I'm sorry. Okay, let's print D1 and D2 together. So you will see both of them and you can compare them and see whether it is solving your problem. So this is function 5. Let me run the code and probably you see here, this is exactly doing a reverse of key value pairs. Here K1 and K2 were the keys. Here K1 and K2 are the values. Here V1 and V2 were the keys, and here V1 and V2 are the values. Okay, so Tanya, this is the way you can do it. It's a logic actually. So if you know these functions like keys and values, you can put your own logic and you can do whatever you want to do there. Okay. Parag, will the keys always have a single quotes? See, it doesn't matter it's a single quote or double quote. While printing it, it is a single quote, but actually you can use it as double quote as well. You see, I think here I'm using single quote, here I'm using double quote. In Python, it doesn't matter whether you are using a single quote or double quote. When you are kind of creating a string, you can use anything. Again, it's personal choice. You can go for a double quote or if, you can go for a single quote as well. It depends on you. That is not going to change anything here. Okay. So Parag, it doesn't matter whether it's a single quote or double quote. All of the, all the time, the keys are always strings. Okay. Aniket, how to get this from user side? How to get that from user side? I think that is even easier. So probably if I want to come back here and say, hey, I want to get some data from a person, saying person's name and person's email. That's the only two things I'm looking for. Let's say this is the person. I want to create an empty dictionary like this. I'll ask person to enter your name. So here I'll say enter name. Whatever name I'm going to get from user, I'm going to put that right here inside this person, and key will be something like a name. So this is person name. I'll say this is an input. You know what it is. I'll go for the second one and say, hey, enter your address, for example, or email. I don't care. Whatever values you are looking for. And then you can put that as a person. That's it. So this is the way you can get the data from user. Getting data from user is not going to change the way you are creating a dictionary. So for example, what's your name? Let's say person one. What's your address? Let's say Pune. So if you get the Pune and person one, those strings, and if you put them in a dictionary, this is how your dictionary will look like. So name is person one and address is Pune. So that's exactly what you're looking for. Okay. So Aniket, this is the way you can get it from a user side. And when I say user side, it's like the only thing which is going to change is the hard-coded value will be replaced by input function. That's it. Okay, so Aniket, that answers your question. Next question, Adesh, rather than to define this into the function, is there any way to get the mix of collection? Not sure what exactly you are asking. If you can be a little bit more clearer, I may answer your question. Gauri, your question, can we put the different person and the value together in one dictionary? I think we already have done that, right? So this is one person, this is second person, means we are keeping different values, key value pairs for different persons into different dictionaries. Okay. Now we have seen, or we have explored all of these all of these collections. We have seen list, we have seen tuple, set, a frozen set, and something like a dictionary. We have seen all of them now. Now, whatever we have done so far, all of them are single dimensional collection. And because they are single dimensional, we are using only one square bracket to get the values from there. But now we want to continue further and we want to go for multi-dimensional array. Now, multi-dimensional array is a little bit different. Okay. Just give me a sec. Who's that? Utpal? Any specific reason of using single quote? There is no specific reason. Here, if you're talking about this single quote here I can't go for double quote because I already have started double quotes. So if I use a double quote here, For Python, the string will start here and string will end here. That's the reason I'm going for a double quote here, a single quote here. If you want to still stick with a double quote, then we'll have to escape this. So this is the way you should go for. And that is not a, I mean, that's not a good idea to do it. And that's the reason why I'm using a single quote here. If it is a string, you can go for double quote or single quote, and there is no specific reason to go for single quote and double quote. You can go for anything here. As you see here, I'm using address, name, and all of them in double quotes. At the same time, if you look at the other dictionary, here I'm using single quote. So that is not going to change the meaning of it. Okay, there is no specific reason of being considering, let's say, considering it as a single quote or double quote. So probably this is the way you can do it. I'm sorry. So this is the way you can do it, and probably, yeah, I think that solves your problem. Okay. Who's that? Utpal, can we use a double quote as well? I think we already have seen that now. Who's that? Whipping your question. Is it possible to retrieve the data from dictionary using some conditions like in DB? Not right now. I mean, not directly like this, but you have to write a code for that. I mean, you have to write your own logic, not directly like database. This is possible, but not with the normal dictionaries like this. This is possible when you are going for a package like pandas. So in pandas and in NumPy, both of them, we will do something like getting the data from a database. Like we'll put some queries, give me the data which are having ages greater than 40, for example, or give me the data whose salary is less than 10,000. Something is possible, not with the dictionary directly, but with the it is possible with something like an advanced data structures given by NumPy and the pandas. Okay, so probably Vipin, your question will be answered later in NumPy as well as in pandas. There are 2 occasions you will see the answers. Anyways, so now I hope you got your answer. Who's that? Anuja, line number 140, please repeat. Line number 140, line number 140. Here we are getting the value of a key. So probably what we are doing here is we are getting the keys. If you look at the d1.keys, I'm going to get the keys like K1 and K2. Now, if I want to get the K1's value or K2's value, this is the way we are doing it. So D1 of key is K1 will give you the value V1, and D1 of key, that is K2, will give you the value V2. So that's what we are doing. Okay. Okay. So probably whatever we have seen so far, as I said, all of them are single dimensional arrays or single dimensional collections. Now we want to go for double dimension, or you can say multi-dimensional. And if I want to go for them, this is the way you can do it. It's a little bit not difficult, I would say, but a little bit different than the other programming languages. Okay, see how it can be done. Let me come back here and create a very, very, very simple example. I'm going to show you at least a couple of examples for different combinations, you know. So let's see. This is going to be a first function. This is function 1. And here I want to go for multi-dimensional collection. Now, first, let me create one-dimensional collection. So this is my list 1. I'm going to say 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. When I say list equals to 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, probably you know that 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 will be added in one single dimension, something like this. And probably you can guess all of them will be on a separate memory locations like this, you know. So just get them and put them on different memory locations. That's how we already have seen them working earlier. So this is the way you can consider that particular memory allocation. I'm not saying like they will be always contiguous, but you know, it depends on the memory condition. So I'm not just saying that they will be always contiguous, but just for understanding purpose, it's very simple to represent it. That's the reason I'm showing you here. Don't get or don't misinterpret that diagram. This, I'm not anyway saying like this is going to be always contiguous memory location. Okay, this is just for understanding purpose. This is list 1 I'm talking about. So let me just bring it back. This is the list 1, and this is how the list 1 will look like. You know, there will be always a okay, so there'll be always a separate memory block which is going to be considered as a list 1, and you know this stuff, right? So I don't have to talk about this every single time. We already have seen that extensively last time, in depth last time probably. So probably you know that this is going to be pointing to this. I'm not going to add any memory address or other thing here. This is just for your understanding. You know what it is. So I'm just going to say that this is the list 1. List 1 is a reference here, and this is pointing to a single dimensional collection. You know, this is how it is going to get the data, or it is going to allocate the memory, and then it is going to put the data there, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. Naturally, it will have its own index values, let's say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, something like this. And this is going to be again the list of index positions. So this is going to be 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. You know that when I say 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, these are positive index values, which means they are going to start from left to right. And you can also go for negative by using something like -5, I'm sorry, -5, -4, -3, -2, -1, something like this. I'm going to show you that here, but you know the things, what I'm talking about. What you're saying? Forum, what you're saying? If one program, two different functions to show, but result give only one function, show that time. Not getting your question. Can you please rephrase it? So at least I will understand what exactly the condition you're talking about. Next question, Adesh. It depends on how you want to call this function. Exactly. So if you want to call only, what are you saying? If you're having two different functions to show, but result give only one function to show. I'm really sorry, but I still am not able to understand what exactly you want to achieve. If you can rephrase, I may answer that question. But let's look at this answer. Let's look at this question in a moment. But before, let's understand this point here. So whenever you are talking about these index values, you can get the values, or you can get a particular index position by saying something like list 1 of 0. Now list 1 of 0, which means you are going to go to the list and then you are going to jump on the 0th position. So you will get the value as 10. So this is how you are going to get the value. If I say list 2 of 1, or list 2 of 2, or list 2 of 3, let's see what it brings here. So if I say list 3, probably list 3 means it's a 0, not here, sorry, here. List 3 means 0, 1, 2, 3. Here it is. So it will jump on the third location, and you will get the value as 40. So basically, when you are talking about a single dimension, you can have only one set of index values, and this is how you can get the values at a particular index. That's the story of single dimensional list or single dimensional collection. It can be a list, it can be a tuple, it can be anything. Now, probably when you talk about something like a single dimension will always have the values associated with, or values maybe added or maybe allocated in this particular fashion, you know. So now I'll continue by using something like maybe I'm sorry, my bad. I think absolutely sorry guys, my bad. I've seen that it's not list 1. I got it. My mistake, my bad. Let me just correct it here. Yeah, now it is okay. Am I right? Yeah, exactly. Name of list 1 is wrong. Absolutely, I got it. So this is by mistake I did that, but this is now list 1 of 0 is equals to whatever, and 0 is list 1 of 3 is equals to 14. Absolutely. So now you see that the things are pretty much simple to understand when you're talking about a single dimension. By the way, this one is called as a single dimension. You know, single dimension is exactly similar to arrays in other languages. So dimensions, single dimensional array, or you can say it's a single dimensional collection. So it can be a list, it can be a tuple, it can be literally anything. The important thing is when I say single dimension, all the values will be added in this particular fashion. Now I want to go for multi-dimensional. So this is a single dimensional, as I said, dimensional. And now I want to go for multi-dimensional. So how do you go for multi-dimensional then? So multi-dimensional, it will be a kind of collection of single dimensionals added into one single array. What do you mean by that? Check this out. I'm going to call it as the list 2, and right inside this, I'll split it. And instead of adding the values like this, I'm going to add the values like this. Watch this. I'm going to have 10, 20. Maybe I'll come back here and say 30, 40, and come back here and say 50 and 60. That's it. So now if you can look at the values, they are not associated, they're not kind of only one single dimensions. They are kind of having two dimensions in a sense. This itself is a list. This itself is a list. This itself is a list. All of these lists we brought together into one single bigger list like this. This is called as a multi-dimensional collection, multi-dimensional, in this case, a list in Python. So multi-dimensional collection in Python is a kind of collection of collections. So basically this is a collection, this is a collection, this is a collection. In this case, the collection is a list, doesn't matter, but it's a collection. So it's kind of multiple collections. We added them into one bigger collection. So it is a collection of multiple collections. That is how you can get it. So probably you can understand now that the function one is defining a list two where we are having multiple collections brought into one single collection, and that's the reason it is called as a collection of collections, which is nothing but a kind of multi-dimensional collection in Python. Yes, Preeti, it can be heterogeneous. Just wait for a minute. I'll talk about that. So this is the simplest example of it. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to just bring it on here, and we'll show you what exactly is going to happen in the memory. Now this is a little bit different, not difficult, I'm saying, but different. So let us see what happens here. This is my list two. The list two right now, should I go for this or this? Okay, let's go for the horizontal one. So maybe I can say this is the list two. Again, you know what that list two means. It's a reference, by the way. So this is list two, which is going to point to one memory location. Watch here. When you say this list here, probably this list is having 1, 2, and 3 collections within it. In a sense, now this is going to point to a memory where you are having 3 different blocks. Say this is going to be my first block. Call it as a first block, or maybe I can call it as a second and third. So this is the first one. Maybe I can say this is the second one, and this is the third one. So probably what you see here, should I just give me a sec? Let me make it a little bit bigger so I can tell you exactly what happens in the memory. So this is a little bit bigger right now. Why? I'll tell you that in a second. So maybe I can say this is the current scenario. Again, this is going to be my first location. This is going to be my second location, let's say, and this is going to be my third location. So I have 3 locations here because I have 3 different arrays here, So now when you talk about this particular scenario, let's say I'm going to go back to the addresses case again, because I want you to understand a few things here. So I'll say that this is my address for this particular memory location, which is, let's say, 10,000, which naturally means list 2 is going to have a 10,000 here. And because of this, list 2 is going to point to this particular memory location. This is exactly what we have seen earlier as well. I didn't put the addresses here, but you know that it's exactly similar. But now it's not as simple as what we have seen earlier. Here you see that the 0th position, by the way, this is my 0th position here. So let me bring it on again. This is 0th position here. I make it a little bit more, a little bit, let's say like this, 1 and 2, something like this. So basically when we are talking about the index values, the index values will remain same. That's 1, 0, 1, and 2. The only difference here is we are not having the values in those index positions. Last time we were having directly values like 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. So 0th index was having a 10 value, first index was having 20 values, so on and so forth. Here, it's not the case. Here, if you look at the 0th position, here in the 0th position, you are having one more array or one more list. So precisely speaking, this is going to allocate one more memory location somewhere here, So this is the memory location where 2 values like 10 and 20 will be stored. So this is how we are going to say this is a 10 and 20, for example. There will be one more memory location, or there will be one more memory block added for the second position of it, or second array for it. And probably the third one, maybe I can just copy and paste it again and say this is the third one here, which is going to be the third collection. The third collection in a sense, the collection which is added on the third position. So that is how it is going to get allocated in the memory. Okay, so let us put the values now. So this is 10 and 20. 10 and 20 means this 10 will go here, maybe 20 will go here. Just give me a sec. Let me change the color and say these are the values. I'm going to show the values in blue color. So this is my value 10 and the value 20. As simple as that, This is 30 and 40. So 30 will come here, 40 will come here, as simple as that. Next, 50 and 60. So 50 will come here somewhere, and 60 will come here, as simple as that, So now when we are talking about the memory allocations, I'm going to use the black color again, and I'll say that, let's say this is going to be 0x, let's say 20,000. So 20,000 is where my memory is allocated for the inner array or inner collection. So maybe let me make it a little bit smaller. This is 0x 20,000, for example, and this 20,000 will be added right inside this particular location, So this is the way we can look at the memory representation. So this is 0x 30,000, 0x 30,000 here. and probably this is 0x 40,000. Again, addresses do not matter. What matters is the concept. If you can get the concept, addresses will always change, which means you are talking to this particular memory location here. You know, you are talking to this particular memory location here, and for the other one, the last one, you are talking about this particular memory location here. So this is how the memory will be pointed, or the memory will be allocated in this condition, in this particular multidimensional condition. So this is how we can consider it. Naturally, all of them are the collections. When I say these are the collections, of course, they will also have their own index position. So probably I can say that this is my 0th position here. This is my 0th position here again, as usual. And this is again 0th position here. You see, again, this is my first position here. This is my first position here. And probably this is my first position here. So probably I can see that all of them are having different memory indexes, index positions, and those index positions will give you now different values. So if you can understand this diagram, probably you can answer many different questions here, you know. So probably the very first thing that you can see here is you are having small collections, like this is a small collection, or it can be a list, sorry, it can be a simple list like 10, 20. This is another collection, this is another collection. And you see that we are adding all of these collections into one more bigger collection. So that is the list here. So this is a list of lists, or you can say collection of collections. Doesn't matter whether it's a list of lists, tuple of tuples, list of tuples, tuples of lists, list of dictionaries, or whatever it is. But it is a kind of representation of collection of collections. So get it from that way. So that is, in general, it's a collection of collections. So this is one collection which is pointing to another collections, and that is how we can represent multidimensional array. Now, when you go for multidimensional array, probably you can see that, see, there are a few different things you can easily answer by looking at this particular scenario. So probably if I just go back and say list 2 of 0, watch what happens here. This is my list 2 of 0. Now what are you going to get here? When I say list 2 of 0, list 2 of 0 means you are talking about this particular position. What do you have? It seems like you are having an address. The address is pointing to another collection here, which means probably this is going to give me a collection of 10 and 20 values. Really? Let's give it a try. Rather, when I'm talking about this particular answers, I'm going to verify them running that code here. So probably I'm just going to go back here and we'll say this is a, this is a kind of list 2 of 0. Let's see what we get back. I mean, you must have already imagined it. You must have seen that here, but it's better we can just put this on console and get the confirmation. That's function 1 I'm going to call. And probably if I make a call, you see, list 2 is pointing to, or list 2 is giving me 10, 20, which is very simple from this diagram. So when I say list 2 of 0, I'm getting the another collection, and you can easily get it from this one as well. This is my 0th position. For your understanding, I'm going to say that 0, 1, and 2. So this is how we can represent them. This is my first, and probably this is my second and third. That's it. So these are all my index positions. So that is how you can get that. So on 0th position, what am I getting is nothing but a collection, and the diagram is also telling me the same thing. Naturally, if I come back here and say this is my list 2 or list 1 precisely, it's like 20, 30, 40. You can easily get that from the diagram as well. I'm going to put that right here. So again, list 2 of 1, list 2 of 1 is going to give me the collection. Similarly, if I go for list of 2, it's going to give me the last collection, which is having the value 50 and 60. So whenever you are talking about getting a single dimension or using a single dimension for list 2, it is going to give you one more collection out of it. Last time, single dimension was giving me the, single dimension was giving me direct value. This time, single dimension is giving me another collection. That's the reason why we said that it's a collection of collections. I hope you are getting it. If you are getting it, then probably I want to continue further and I want to get the value 10. Now, how do I get the value 10? You see that the value 10 is on the 0th index, but 0th index of not list 2, 0th index of another collection, which is pointed by a 0th position of list 2. In a sense, if I want to reach to this 0, I have to first reach to this 0. So it's kind of list 2 of 0, and again of 0 will give me the value 10. So if I come back here and say, if it is a list 2 of 0, and if I go to the 0th location here, then it is possible for me to get a single value out of it. Let's see. Let's explore this one more time. When I say list 2, let's see whether you can understand this time. When I say list 2, list 0 of 1. So what do you mean by this list 2 of 1? List 0 of 1. List 2, I'm going to go to the 0th position, which means here. From here, I'm going to come back and get the second position, or maybe from 0th position, it's a first position. And yes, I'm going to get the value as 20. So this is the way you can travel in this particular situation when you are having multi-dimensional array. Let's try the other one. Let's say list 2 of 2 0. So when I say 2 0, that means we are going to go from list 2 of 2 somewhere here. We directly jump from here to here, and from here we have to jump again and say we want to get the value. What was I saying? List 2 of 0. So list 2 of 0 means that's going to give me the value equals to 50. That's it. This is how we can get all the values here. So probably I can just copy and paste it one more time and say this is going to be 60. And why not? So let me add the remaining ones, that is 1 1, and then I can say that it's 30 and 40. I hope you are getting it, because if you are, then you can say that clearly that single dimension is going to give me a collection, and double dimensions like double subscripts will give me the actual value I'm looking for. So this is the way I can get all the values or all the different collections within the collection. Let's give it a try quickly. Let me try this. Let's say list 2 of 1 2. I just want to confirm whether I'm getting all the collections by using this print. Maybe you must have already tried that out, but it's okay. I'm going to do it for you again. Let's say 20. And okay, let's do it here quickly one more time. This is list 2 of 0 0 0 0. And let's do it. Sorry, my bad. Let's do it again. So this is 0 0 0 1. This is 1 0 1 1, and this is a 2 0 2 1. As simple as that. So again, it's a 0 0 0 1. It's 1 1. Sorry, 1 0 1 1. It's a 2 0 2 1. That's it. So just want to print all of the values again, just to be on the same line. Yes, exactly. So I'm getting all the collections here by using one single subscript. And if I use two subscripts, I'm getting all the values directly. So this is how we can deal with multi-dimensional array or multi-dimensional collections in Python. I hope this example will tell you like how the values are getting allocated, how the memory is getting allocated, and how the values are maybe getting stored in those memory locations. Okay. Kaushik, your question, does 0x10,000 list contain the address of 3 sublists? Absolutely right. That's what I said here. You see, 0x10,000 is the starting memory location here. So it is 0x10,000, 0x10,000 plus whatever the address we are saying. So maybe it is 10,008, this is 10,016, so on and so forth. It's exactly like the multidimensional array in C, or it's a pointer to pointer in C or C++, if you're coming from that particular era. Okay, Chandrakant, your question, memory allocated in a sequential manner or not? Not at all. When you are in Python, memory will not be allocated in sequential. I mean, memory may not be allocated in the sequential order. It may or it may not. I can't tell you that, because it's exactly what operating system is going to give you back. So it may give you the contiguous memory location, or it may not. I cannot guarantee you. Okay. But when you go to another collection, something like a NumPy, there I can tell you, guaranteed you will get the contiguous memory location. So here it's not guaranteed, and that's the reason why we are keeping the addresses here. You see, we are keeping an address of this, we are keeping an address of this, and we are keeping an address of this, because they are not in a sequence. You know, if they are in sequence, we can just jump from one location to another location by adding the size of that address. But it's not possible here, because this is not at all in sequential order, or it may not be in sequential order. And that's the reason why when you are using Python and you are going for a multi-dimensional collection like this, it is always a heavier. It's always going to be non-performant. And that's the reason when you are going for data science kind of stuff, where we are processing huge amount of data, it's not advisable to go for collections like this. It's always, it's always better to use another package called as a NumPy. Just hold your excitement. Later on, once we are done with this, I'll show you the different type of collections, and one of the most important collections in Python is called as a NumPy. This will solve the problem. Okay, so those who are worried about getting the memory allocated, not getting the memory allocated in sequential fashion, and because of that you are losing the performance, hold your question, hold your maybe assignment, you will see that right there in the NumPy. Okay. Parag, we have created the dictionary. Did it work like this too? Absolutely right. Dictionary is also working in this way. The one I showed you earlier, it also works in exactly similar fashion. Yes, correct. Parag, we have, okay, Parag, your question is already answered now. The next one, Vinay, sorry, Vijay, repeat the multidimensional array. This is how the multidimensional array is allocated. When you are creating a multidimensional array, it is always a collection of collections. This is collection 0, collection 1, collection 2. Multiple collections added into one single collection is called as a multidimensional array. Multidimensional array in Python is simple, simple enough to understand. And when I say simple enough to understand, this diagram will tell you what exactly the memory layout created for this particular multidimensional array. Though it is a list of lists, list of tuples, tuples of list, or tuples of tuples, or even list of dictionaries, still the memory map will exactly be similar. Okay, I'll show you a couple of examples in a moment, but this will be overall diagram or generic diagram when you talk about collection of collections in Python. Okay, because your question, give this image also in notes. Of course, yes, I'm going to give that image in, okay, I'll do one thing. I'll basically put this diagram. Do I have the multidimensional array option? Of course, yes, I must be having. If not, then I'll have to create one. Multi-dimensions. Okay, let me just see the dimension. No, I don't think. Okay, I'll have to update it then. I'll update and I'll then share that. Okay. Anyways, the diagram will be shared. So because I can put that in our notes and then I can add it there. Okay. I think I did not include the multidimensional array in the notes so far, but I'll add that later and I will. I'll give you one more version of PDF later. Ketan, please suggest a book for compiler working. Not getting your question. What do you want to go for? You want to go for compiler construction? Then the best book is Aho Ullman. That's a compiler construction book. If you are going for, yes, Ketan, if you're looking for that, then this is the Aho Ullman. I'm having that in my collection. I would have shown you that, but it's okay. It's Aho Ullman book. That is the best book for compiler construction. Okay. And who's that? Rajendra? Please push assignment. It didn't include in the gate. Yes, I'll include that in the gate. Guys, let's look at that later. Let's first put the, I mean, just focus on these things. Let's not divert from what we are looking at right now. Otherwise, you will get disturbed. So don't break the link in between. So first, look at the thing, get the things here, and then we'll talk about it towards the end. Okay. Okay, so now when you're talking about something like this, hopefully you can see the difference between a single dimension and multi-dimensional. I did mention single dimensional here. I'm going to mention that multi-dimensional. I'm not able to see that here. Just a second. Dimensional, sorry, multi-dimensional array or multi-dimensional collection right here. So that is a single dimension, that's a multi-dimensional. So that is the difference between the multi and single dimension in Python. Okay, so probably I'm going to come back here, not here, come back here, and let us look at a couple of different examples. This example, we have talked about getting the values or getting the list of lists. I'm going to bring it on again one more time and we'll show you a couple of different properties. Watch this. This is a little bit different than other languages, especially like C and C++. Those people who are coming from Java, for them, nothing is new because they might have seen this stuff in case of Java as well. What I'm trying to show you here is, because it is a collection of collections, it's not mandatory that you will have to use exactly same columns in every single row. You might say something like this. In my first collection, in my first row, maybe this is 0th row, I can have 10 and 20. In my second row, I may have 10, 30, 40, 50, something like this. In my third one, I can go for 60, 70, 80, and 90 and 100 as well. It doesn't matter because ultimately this is a collection, this is a collection, this is a collection. I'm bringing all the different collections into one single collection like this one. It's called as a jagged or ragged array, absolutely. So this is exactly the concept you might have seen in Java. Those people who are coming from Java, they might have seen it here. Those people who are coming from something like C#, they might have also seen them in C#, because C# and Java, both of them arrays look like this, exactly like this. Okay, so probably I have a list one here. This is a collection of collections, or precisely it is an example of list of lists. Now I want to get all the values here. Naturally, I can go for this particular scenario as well, like 0, 0, 0, 1, and so on and so forth, but I don't have that much of time. So I want to get all of these values dynamically. How do I do this? I can do that by using a for loop. Watch what I'm trying to show you here. So when I say for, I'm going to say row in list one. and first try to print the row and see what exactly it is. I'm sorry. Let's say print a row and let's see what exactly it is. So this is going to be my function 2. Watch what happens on console. I'm trying to go to every single row and I'm trying to print it on console, you know. So when I say run, probably you can see that this is my 0th row, this is my first row, this is my second row. All of them are nothing but the lists. In a sense, this is a list of lists. Naturally, every single row will represent another list. But I'm not looking for directly a list like this. I'm looking for individual values. Not a big deal. You know that the row itself is a collection, which means I can have one more for loop here. I can say for call in row, and then we can print all the rows and columns. So probably I can say the value at, this is my row and a column. So I'll just put it this way, making it a little bit dynamic and a little bit readable. So call and row, which is equals to, this is kind of a call. I mean, directly like this, you can go for call and then probably, oh, sorry, I can't go for this one. For this, I'll have to go for indexes, but it's okay. Value is equals to call. This is going to give me the different values in one particular row. I'm going to print one single dash or dashes, should I say, after every single row. So it will be easy for me to see where my row starts, where my row ends. This is my first row, which ends somewhere here, which is having two values, 10 and 20. This is my second row, which is having three values, 30, 40, and 50. And this is my third row, which is having five values, 60, 70, 80, 90, and 100. So this is a kind of a for loop where we are going from, where we are going for all the different values, not the rows. I'm going for different values. This is where we are directly getting the values. But if you really want to go back and try to get the values based on the index positions, not like for each way, but I want to go for a traditional for loop, then how do you do that? To do this, probably I'm going to come back here and say for, this is, again, I'm going to use the variable called as row. In, I'm using the range of len of list one. Hopefully, you know, range is nothing but going to give me a collection of index positions like 0, 2. Len of list one, we are having 1, 2, 3. So this is first, this is second, and this is third. So we are having three different rows in list one. So this is range of len of list one. Let's see how we can get the value. So probably I can get by saying this is the list one of row. Sorry, list one of row will give me all the collections again. Nothing is going to change. I'm getting this is the 0th position, this is the first position, this is the second position. So probably the range of len of list one will give me the index positions like 0, 1, 2, and I'm going for list of 0, list of 1, and list 1 of 0, list 1 of 1, and list 1 of 2. So something like this. And that is kind of giving me all the different positions or all the different lists on those particular row positions. Now I know these are all rows. So I want to again go for the second for loop. So I'm going to come back here and say for call in, range of, again, because we are using the index positions, we are going to say range of len of, probably I'll create a small, temporary collection by saying, say something like list, or maybe TMP list, whatever you can call it as. We don't need it, but I'm just making your life a little bit simpler by saying something like this. List one of row. This is my inner list. So this is my outer list. List one is an outer list. This is my inner list. So len of temp list. So basically temp list will point to this on 0th position. Temp list will point to this on the first location, and temp list will point to this on the second location. So I'm again getting the value. I'm starting my column position from 0 to whatever is the length of that particular collection. It could be 2, it could be 3, it could be 5, doesn't matter. Now I can say this for sure, like I want to get the value at particular position. So I'll say value at, at this row and at this column. So row and column. Then I can get the values like this. What is that? List one of row and of call, So this is the way we can make it completely dynamic. And of course, I can print a, should I? Okay, it's not required because now we are having the values like this. So when I say run, you see, we are getting the values like 0, 0, 10, 0, 1, 20, 1, 0, 30, 1, 1, 40, 1, 2, 50, so on and so forth. So you decide which way you want to go for, and you can go for something like this way, that's a for each loop, or this way, that is kind of, the traditional for loop. If you want, it's better rather, I'll put a dash, so you'll know what exactly that row looks like, and where exactly it starts, where exactly it stops. So it starts here, it stops here, it starts here, it stops here, and so on and so forth, you know. So that is the way you can do it. You can see that I'm getting the positions as well, not only the values, but I'm getting the positions as well. So you decide which one you want to go for. You want to go for each way, this is the one for you. If you want to go for traditional way, this one is for you. So just show you both the examples and see how it can be done. Okay. Adesh, what's your question? How can we print the address of elements such as address of list of 0 of 0? I hope you can recall the fact that I already mentioned earlier as well. Python does not support pointers. So because there is no pointer, there is no way I can get the address of anything there, you know. So unfortunately, it's not possible, Adesh, to go for getting the address position or maybe the address of those particular positions. Okay. So no, can be done. Can't be done, not can't be done. Akshada, your question, why can't we use the row instead of temp list? Why can't we use the row? Because row is an integer, row is a position. Did you see that? Maybe if I just go back here and print both of them, say this is going to be a row at position, row is an integer position. It's not an array, by the way. I know what you're talking about, but this is not a complete row. This is position, in a sense, 0, 1, 2, 3. So yeah, I can see that now. Row at position 0 is equals to this, row at position 1 is equals to this, row at position 2 equals to this. Exactly. I think you got it. But anyways, for you, in fact, if you really want to use that row, this is the way you can do it. Okay. I know this is simpler, it's straightforward, but sometimes, you know, you need to get the positions like rows and columns. This one will help you to do that. So I showed you both the ways. You decide which one you want to go for. Okay, that's good. Okay, so guys, I think this is my first example where I'm talking about something like a list of lists. Okay, this is another question. I mean, it's up to you, like which one you want to choose. All of them will give you exactly the same behavior, but it's better I can just show you a couple of different scenarios. Now this is a little bit different. Watch this, because there you are going to get little bit different way to get the values, and this is exactly what we are going to do later in one of the packages, which will you know, connect to another database called as MySQL. So later on, when we connect our Python application to MySQL, we will definitely get the data in this format. Watch this. This is a list of tuples now. Now earlier I showed you an example of list of lists. This is a list of tuples. Nothing is different. All of these things will exactly look like in the memory what we have discussed earlier. So that is not going to change. This is exactly same. What is going to change is a little bit the brackets. Instead of using square bracket inside square bracket, we are going to use square bracket, parenthesis inside square bracket. What do you mean by that? Let's say I have some person details. Let's say this is my persons collection. And inside my person, I'm going to represent all the persons using parenthesis. Using parenthesis means I want to represent them using tuples. So let us see how we can do that. Okay, so to do this, probably, oh, did I was not sure. No one told me, so I was under the impression like I'm using this one, but it's okay. So now when you're talking about a list of tuples, the tuples will look like this. Probably I'll say this is my person 1. I'm sorry, this has to be a string. Person's age, let's say 40, and a person's address, let's say Pune. Watch this. This is a list of tuples, you know. So I'm having a tuple here, and let's say I'm having some different person details. This is my person 2. Let's say person 2 is, let's say 20, who cares again, and this is Mumbai. Okay, next one, I need one more. Let's say person 3, age is 10, for example, and this one is from, let's say, Nasik, nearby. Okay, so now we are having the list of tuples. Let us see how we can get the values, individual values of those person details, and then how can we print them separately. Now I want to come back here and say this is, why am I printing? So first, let us print all the tuples inside it. So I'm going to say for row in, what's that? Persons. Let's print that row directly and see what does it print. You know what does it print? It prints something like a tuple. So you see, this is my first tuple, this is my second tuple, and this is my third tuple. That's it. This is the way we can get it, you know. Okay, so this is the way. Okay, so probably you see that this is the first tuple, second tuple, and third tuple, and that is the way you can get all the tuples individually. But now what I'm saying here is I'm not interested only in tuple. I want to go for literally the person's name, person's address, and person's age. So how do I do this? Instead of printing directly a row like this, I want to go for maybe print. I want to get the person's name. So how do I get the person's name? I know that this is a kind of a tuple. Did you see that? This is a tuple. And I know that every tuple is going to have person's name on the 0th position. So what I can say here is go for the 0th position of row. So that will give me person's name. I'm assuming like all of these values or all of these attributes of person will be on the similar positions. So every tuple will have name on the 0th position, age on the 1st position, and address on the 2nd position. That's what I already have assumed, and that's how I've created the data. So this is my first one. Let me just go back to the 2nd and 3rd one as well. So this is going to be an age, this is going to be an address. So this is going to be a row of 1, and this is going to be a row of 2, you know. So now I'll be able to get person details. Let me add a dash. So that will be a kind of separation from all persons. Like this is my first person's data, this is my second person's data, and this is my third person's data, you know. So this is the way we can get the values from a list of tuples. If you want, you can still go back and run one more for loop within it, and you can do it. But I already have shown you that example earlier, so I don't want to repeat that again and again. So what is it different? That is the only one I'm showing you here. So this is a little bit different. This is a little bit scenario that you are going to see later when we get the data from MySQL. And trust me, exactly what we are going to do later is what you already have seen here. The only difference is today I'm hard coding the values inside my collection. Later in the other program, we'll connect to the database and get the value from one of the tables. The scenario will exactly like this. That will be also a list of tuples. So when you go for MySQL, you will see exactly same scenario. Now, because connecting to a database and getting the data from database is a little bit very often that you need in your program. So I'm going to show you one simpler trick here, or one simple kind of shortcut here. Now, this is only for tuple, not for the others. It is only for list of tuples or tuple of tuples as well. So when you talk about this tuple, what happens here is probably you say that this is the tuple, and the tuple can be dereferenced, or the tuple can be separated into different variables as well. What I mean by this is I'll show you here, and probably you can understand. Instead of saying for row, maybe I'll just copy this and paste it one more time. Instead of writing the entire code one more time, I'll say that this is the one which I want to use again. So what I said here is like a row of 0, row of 1, and row of 2. Yeah, it worked. Last time I already got the answer. Everything was working fine. But now when I say that, I know that 0th position is the name, 1st position is an age, and the 2nd position is an address. Then instead of using that row 0, row 1, row 2, it's okay for a couple of them. But when we have large amount of data, then I might forget, or I might use accidentally row of 1 somewhere. I wanted to use row of 0, or I might use something like row of 2 in place when I wanted to go for row of 4. It might happen. And that's the reason, instead of using the index positions, because remembering index position is quite difficult when you are writing a big program, when you are having a big chunk of data in that particular row. So to solve this kind of problem, we are having a better solution. This is my row. I know it's a tuple. And because it's a tuple, I want to use its advantage. Before I talk about this example, let me show you a quick example first, and then I'll come back and show you this one more time. So this is my another example. Watch this. It's a little bit different. See if you can understand. I'm not talking about multiple or tuple of tuples or list of tuples. I'm creating a simple tuple here first. Let's say this is T1, and I say that this T1 is equals to 10, 20, 30, 40, for example. Now, probably you remember, even if you're not using any parenthesis here, still it will be considered as a tuple. We already have seen this earlier. If I want to get the values in that tuple, I might say something like print T1 of 0, T1 of 1, T1 of 2, and T1 of 3. This is something we already have seen earlier, and it already have worked for us as well. 1, 2, and 3. That's it. Let me come back here and run this code just to make sure that we are getting all the values. We will definitely, because this is something which we already have explored earlier. Now, instead of doing it here, I want to go for one more trick. You know what? I can use this tuple and put that tuple into different variables. Again, watch what I'm trying to show you here. I'm going to come back here and say, instead of writing or instead of getting that T1, I might come back here and say, hey, instead of using T1 of 0, T1 of 1, T1 of 2, and T1 of 3, instead of remembering all those index positions, why not to use a variable to point out those numbers? Watch what happens now. I'm going to say N1, comma N2, comma N3, comma N4. And if I do it this way, probably you can see that the value at 10 will be inserted or will be stored in the variable's value N1. Value at 2 will be inserted in value in the variable N2, and so on and so forth. And it will be easy for me to use N1, N2, N3, N4 rather than saying T1 of 0, T1 of 1, and T1 of 2, and T1 of 3. Let's see here. If I say N1, let me just come back and say this is N2, N3, N4. Probably I can say N2, N2, N3, and N4. And if I say run, probably you will get exactly the same meaning or exactly the same value I was getting earlier. Nothing different. So you go for this way or you go for this way. Ultimately, the values will not change. What changes is the way you are getting those values from that collection. Again, it's your personal choice. Either you can go with this way or this way. All of them will exactly be going to give you the similar result. Result is not going to change. Result is something which will stay constant or which will be exactly similar for both the cases. But this way, I don't have to remember the positions. I can deal with the numbers like N1, N2, N3, N4, but it's very difficult for me to remember the positions here. And that's the reason why when you are having a tuple like this, people generally will prefer using variables for those tuple values instead of going for positions like 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Guys, are you getting this? What am I trying to show you here? Are you getting that? If you are getting it, I'll show you one more example. See, this is a little bit different, not different, but little bit similar with the different values. Now, this will make more sense, probably. Let me just go back a function 5 and say, this is my person collection, which is a tuple, for example. I'll say this is my person 1. I may go for 40h and I may go for person1@test.com. Now, first, I want to print the person's name. You know how to print a person's name by using this one. I'll say something like person of 0. So person of 0 means this is a kind of collection and I can get the value at 1, 0, 1, and 2. So this is name, this is age, and this is address. Again, there is no change in the final result. So probably I'm going to go back here. I'll put some dashes and say this is a function 5. Run code, and yes, I'm getting the same result, like name is equals to person1, age is equal to 40, and address is equals to person1 address, blah, blah, blah. So that works. There is no change here. But again, I'm saying the same thing. Why are you dealing with 1, 0, 1, 2 positions? Because it becomes very much difficult for you to remember the positions. You know, so what you can do here is this. You know that 0th position is nothing but name. So I'm going to say name, comma. I know the second position is an age and third position is an address, email. So I can create different variables like this, and then I can put them, what's the person? So this is the, you can do it in this way, or you can directly assign a person here directly, because using these here or directly using this will exactly be same. So maybe just for your convenience, I'm going to come back here and show you both the ways. I don't want you to confuse. You can do it in this way or you can do it in this way. It doesn't matter. Both of them will give you the exact same result. Now, if I want to get the name, address, and age, probably you can understand it's really simple for me because there is no second thought. I know name is a variable from where I'm going to get the name. Again, what's the second one? I think age is what I'm looking for. Not a big deal. I'm going to come back here and say, hey, give me the age, person's age. And hey, give me the person's address. Not a big deal. I'm just going to go back here and say, give me the person's address. Sorry, my bad. That's it. So this is the way. Address, what am I going back? Oh, here it is, not email. It's not the address, it's my bad, it's an email. Okay, so this is how we can get the values for a person. And again, nothing is going to change. You see, either you are going for first or you are going for second. Ultimately, result is going to be same. So you go for this way or this way. Result will stay same, but instead of me, you tell me, which one do you like? Would you like to go with the positions like this, or would you like to go for the second option? Of course, anyone will choose for the second option just because Second option is pretty much clear and simple to understand, simple to write, and kind of error free. I mean, it's not completely error free, but compared to the positions, it's error free. It's error prone. I hope you are getting it. In this case, we are extracting the values from 0th position and putting that value inside a variable name. Extracting a value at first position, adding it to the value age, variable age, and extracting the value at the second position and putting that value inside email. So that's how it goes. Again, you are in Python, so probably you may say this or you may say this. Both of them will give you exact same answer. There is nothing changed. I hope you remember using parentheses is a kind of optional. So you may say this or you may say this. Ultimately, this is exactly similar. Okay, so this is exactly similar. So even if you don't use a parenthesis, still everything is going to be same. I'll give you a couple of different variations. So I don't want you to again get confused here. You can use any of this variation and still the result is going to be same. So you may say this, 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 or this. Ultimately, this means exactly same. You know, it's better I can use this representation of it and say run. You see there is no change. Ultimately, I'm getting exactly same variable. So you go for any of these variations and you will see that name, age, and email will be created as different variables. You know, so that's the way we can do it. Praneeth, what are you saying? Suppose we are having a large amount of data, then how we can determine the number of variables like N1, N2, N3, N4? See, this is exactly what I said earlier. You have to be in a particular scenario in order to use this particular fashion or this particular syntax. You have to know like what is coming on 0th position, first position, second position, so on and so forth. And then and only then it will be easy for you to do it. If you are having different variations or different positions in different rows, like the example I was talking about earlier, this kind of problem will not be able to solve by using that scenario. So that's the reason when you are going for tuple, make sure that every position is going to be having exact same number of values and exact same number of index should be giving you the same type of value. So that's the reason why I'm talking about this, a special condition. Okay, so Praneeth, in this condition, probably you will see the tuple must have, all the tuples or the tuple in this case must have a particular value at a particular position. Then and only then it will work. Now again, it's your personal choice. If you want to run a for loop, then you don't need need something like this. But if you want to get simple like person of 0, person of 1, person of 2, then instead of going for this, I would create a variable or variables like this. Okay. Now, one more quick thing. I know this is something which will look kind of surprising to you. Let me see. Before I talk about that, can you tell me if I have a variable, let's say N1 and N2, let's say N1 is equals to 10 and N2 is equals to 20, something like this, you know, what is going to happen here? Probably when I say N1 and N2, both of them are two different variables. Now I can simply print that N1 and N2 just to confirm the thing, like this is N1. I'm sorry, again, print, this is going to be N2 and just want to confirm the things. So this is going to be my function 6. So let me run this code. I know 10 is N1 is equals to 10, N2 is equals to 20. Very simple. Instead of creating these variables like this, I want to convert them into this syntax, N1, N2, which is equals to 10, 20. Do you understand now then? Do you understand line number 128? All of you, can you please confirm that thing? Okay, at least a few yes. That means you are able to understand this one, right? So ultimately result is going to same because what we have explored earlier, maybe somewhere here and somewhere here, you might have noticed that you now can have multiple variables on left hand side and multiple values on the right hand side. Just again, make sure that 10 and 20 will be assigned to N1 and N2 sequentially. Sequence is going to be very important. Now, this is a quick question to you. When you talk about in other languages like C or C++, how do you go for swapping the variables? Adesh, yes, I'm going to come back to that point. Exactly right. So how do you swap the values in other languages? Like if you are in C or if you are in C++, how do you swap the values? Probably by using something like a temporary variable, then you get the N2 in temporary, you assign N1 to N2 and then so on and so forth. You know, you already have done that so many times. But for that, very important, when you are in C and C++, for that you have to send the values by address or by reference, not by directly like passing parameters by value. That will never work. And that is the reason why in Python, why in C or C++, you are having, let's say, ampersand or star. So that is a pointer and that is an address. You know what? You are in Python. And as I told you earlier, in Python, everything is simple. Guess what? Now I want to swap those variables. How do you swap them? Haha, look at this. N2 comma N1 is equals to N1 comma N2. I hope you can get what am I trying to show you here. Print both of them, and simply in one single statement, you are kind of swapping those variables. You see, N1 was 10, N2 was 20 earlier, but now N1 is 20 and N2 is 10. Just got swapped. Very sorry, exactly same. So this is so simple that N2 is going to get the value of N1, N1 is going to get the value of N2. That's it. Very, very, very simple. So probably you can't imagine when you show this kind of code to the people who are coming from C and C++, they literally get blown away. They say, oh, wow, what a language is. I mean, in one single statement, you are going to swap the values without using pointer, without using any address. This is such a great language, is such a simplest language to learn. I don't know whether you are aware about this fact or not, but there are many different schools where they are teaching Python in the elementary schools. I mean, till 5th, they are learning Python. We are learning Python at this stage, but they already have started learning in their elementary schools. And this is not, I'm not kidding actually. There are different programs, there are different universities there. They already have started doing this experiment, and they found that Python is the easiest language to learn. Of course, they are not going in these details naturally, but you know what? There you don't have to declare any pointer. There you can start declaring variables, having the values, and it becomes very, very, very simple. The first simplest language is Python. The second simplest language is JavaScript. Both of them will go in side by side. So many different schools, many different universities, they started exploring this feature. Exactly. Yeah, I know that. Java is also now in school. HTML is also in school. C++ is also in school. I mean, in school days, students are learning that. I mean, they are such a lucky people. In fact, they are learning this at their very young age. So they, when they go to the industry, they might have already seen that that will be in their blood now. So that is how the things are actually. Yes, the new education system is also adding the coding in their syllabus. That is kind of a mandatory for this schooling. So it's a good thing. But what I'm trying to show you here, or what I'm trying to tell you here, is like Python is the simplest language. If you are doing something such a great in Python by writing so many lines of code, you are wrong. You don't need to write so much of lines of code in Python. If you're doing something like this, then you're doing something wrong. Just go ahead and see whether there isn't a package to do it. And you can do that hardly within a couple of lines, you know. Shrikant, yes, we missed a better education system. Better, I should put a question mark there right now, but it's okay. Whatever we have learned, that was the best option when we were in the schools. Nowadays, this is the kind of change, you know, so every time the things will change. Anyways, we are not here to discuss that right now. We are here to discuss the further things in Python. Okay, so I hope you now got the point. Like when you are having a kind of a tuple, you can extract the values in that tuple and put them in different variables. And this is a kind of an example which will give you a swapping different values in this case. So that is the simplest way to do it. Anyways, coming back to the example I was talking about earlier. See, this time I'm having the person's data into a collection, person's data, like a kind of tuple. I'm having multiple tuples inside a list. Now, what was I talking about earlier? I said that you can come back here and say, this is my tuple, or this is my tuple, or row is representing a tuple. So I can print that tuple values by, you know, one by one or row by row, like this way. But what I'm saying here is, instead of doing it in this way, where are we? Yeah. Instead of doing it in this way, I would rather create a separate variable for storing the different values. Remember what I said earlier last time? I know that on the 0th position, there is a name. On the first position, there is an age. And the second position, there is an address. So probably I can say that the row itself is a tuple. So I can represent that tuple by using different variables like this. And if I'm representing them by different variables, I can say name, then I can say age, and then I can say, what is that? Address. That's it. So probably this will also give me exact same result. You see, I'm getting exact same result. Result is not going to change. Result will stay same. What is going to change is the way we are getting that result. So you can get the different variables, assign them to the row, and then you can use those variables instead of depending on the position values like 0, 1, 2. Maybe I can just come back here and show you one more example, one more quick example of this, because we have came to such a, so with such a nice representation of it. I want to go for one more kind of a shortcut. Now here you are saying row, you are assigning it to a variable, which means you are unnecessarily adding one more line of code. Why don't you put this here? I mean, you can directly go back and say that for name, address, for name, age, and address, inside persons, inside every single row, get them and put them. That's it. You see, this is how we are getting the different results. That's a special case, by the way, when you are having a list of tuples or tuple of tuples. What is important? Inside a collection has to be a tuple. Outside doesn't matter. It can be a tuple of tuples or it can be a list of tuples. What matters here is the inside part, the inside or the inner collection has to be a tuple. And if it is a tuple, then you can take an advantage of it and then you can write the code like this. Many a times you might find the code in different websites, in different books like this. These people will try to add a kind of a parenthesis here, but adding parenthesis here, as I said earlier, is optional. Optional in the sense, this is not the forced parenthesis, this is the tuples parenthesis. So even if I say run, I still will get exactly same result. Please remember, even if you are adding a tuple here, don't consider that this is the parenthesis for. This is the parenthesis for a tuple inside it. The example which I talked about earlier, see, this is what exactly I talked about. You can go for this without parenthesis, and you can go with this by using the parenthesis. So this is the way you can do it. Yeah, that's the simplest one you can go for. Okay, so probably you can do it in this way. Deepak, how it works swapping? I think swapping is kind of done by using this way. So N2 is going to get the value in N1 and N1 is going to get the value in N2. So that is how it is going to work. It's very simple, and probably you can look at the line number 145 and you can see how the values are getting added into different variables. Okay. Omkar, what we learn is all languages. Where you learn all languages, there is no single school, there is no single way you can learn all the languages. You have to do it on your own, unfortunately, or fortunately, should I say. Okay, Milin, your question, are we going to make enterprise applications in this course? Enterprise applications, no. There are different ways you can do it, and there are different there are different domains where you can explore the Python there. For example, enterprise applications for machine learning will use Python, but that's a different course. If you want to go for building enterprise applications in a web, that's a different course. There we can learn something like a Flask in details, and maybe Django, which is a framework for developing different web applications or different websites. That's a different story, but there also you are going to use Python. So Python is a language, it's a medium with which you can create n different types of applications and different types of applications from different domains. Okay. Rachit, can we swap string? Of course, use the same syntax and you can do that as well. That's not a big deal. So whatever you are adding there, the things will be swapped. Prachit, your question, can we do the slicing in multidimensional? Yes, you can try it. I'm not making the things very complicated. If you really want to, if you really want to give it a try it. Of course, this is a list feature. So you can go for a kind of a slicing in particular multidimensional list, multidimensional outer list or inner list. Both of them will work. Okay, so give it a try. Yes, that is also supported there. Adesh, your question, in 2D list, square bracket is a collection of address of one D list. After printing only a list of 0, how are we getting the values rather than addresses? How are we getting the addresses? Can you point out the line here, Adesh? I'm not getting what exactly the line you are referring to. So can you please tell me the line? Rohit, your question, are we going to cover the data science algorithms? Of course not. Are you kidding me? Data science algorithms, there are too many. And for that, there's a separate course in that. That's a ML. The data science will be covered in ML. This is not a data science course. This is not a machine learning course, Okay, yes, Rohit, I think, yeah, you got the point. Abhilash, your question, which framework supports the Python that is support Spring is? You guys are diverting the points. We are talking about a multidimensional collection. So please stay to the point, stick to the point. We'll talk about the frameworks. We'll talk about the packages later. We have a second phase or second part of the course where we are going to talk about all the different type of frameworks. I'll talk about the frameworks and we'll explore the frameworks there. Okay. Right now, just focus on what I'm trying to show you. Otherwise, this will go diverted and you will not be in the context and you will not be able to understand this later. So don't lose the context. We'll talk about different frameworks and different applications and different domains later in the second half, once we are done with the entire thing. So after that, we'll talk about different frameworks. Okay. Yeah. Here we don't call them as a framework. Here we call them as simply like a packages. We'll talk about them in the second half. Adesh, as in the paint snap, which paint snap you're talking about, sir? Where you're talking about? Can you just tell me again one more time? Was that Adesh?
Hello, sir. I'm audible.
Yes. Saying something? Okay, I thought maybe saying someone is saying something. It's okay. Adesh, can you just point out which one you're talking about? Prashant, your question, are we going to start? Okay, ML after this course? Yes, there will be. We'll talk about that later. Ketan, please be in the context. Exactly. We are learning Python the first time. Absolutely. That's what I said, guys. Just be in the context. Don't lose the context and don't divert it. Absolutely right. So Adesh, you're saying something with this diagram. You're asking something.
Hello, sir.
Yes. Adesh.
Sir, here it is. List 2 is there. List 2 is consisting of addresses.
List 2 is having the different addresses. Absolutely right.
So while printing list 2 of 0, list 2 of 1, so why it is not printing addresses? Printing,
Very good.
it's printing values 10, 20, 30, 40. So that
no,
is my
it's
question.
not printing only values. You might have not seen it or you might have missed it. Let me just come back here and go back to the same example. Maybe this one here. Okay, let's say this is the function one. Did you notice something? It's not printing directly values. It is printing the collection itself. See, you are in that collection, and Python is smart enough to understand like 0 at the position is an address. It's not actually the collection values, it's an address. So it doesn't print the address. It goes to that address and it prints the actual collection there. Getting my point? So here, though it looks like we are having an address and it is an address there, but it's not printing the address because for collection, this is not a value. This is an address. There is a difference between the value and address. This is the value. This is an address. This is a value. This is an address. In this case, this is the value. Address I didn't show you, but these are all values. So Python understands where there is an address and where there is a kind of a value, and that's how it takes a decision. If it is an address, it jumps to that address and it shows you what is there on that address. Getting it?
Okay, so ultimately it will go on that address and print that.
Exactly right. So when you are saying 0 is 20,000, it will go to the 20,000 address, 20,000th address, and it will put, or it will just bring that collection and put that on console. Okay.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Absolutely. No problem. Sure. Okay, so this is an example of getting tuples inside one collection. Now the last example, I mean, this is something which I told you earlier as well. I'm going to show you a couple of different ways to put collection of collections within a collection. This is the last example of it. Probably this is function 7. Watch what happens here. And this is again very simple. I'm going to come back here, and it's better I can just get the person's data again. Now let's say cars. Let's say this is the cars data. So probably I'm going to come back here and I'll put the data within a curly brackets. I hope you know curly bracket means I'm talking about a dictionary here. So probably every single car is going to have something like a model. Let's say this is I-20, for example. Let's say this is the company for a car. Let's say Hyundai, for example, again. And let's put a price as well. Let's say price is 7.5. Who cares? That's it. So this is the data for one single car. Let me just bring some more cars here. This is I-10, for example, and this is the biggest car. No, just kidding. This is Tata, for example, and this is 5.5. This is 2.5. Okay, 2.5, 3.5. We'll get 2 cars there. Anyway, so probably we can come back here and say this is the cars, which is a list of dictionaries. You know that, right? So list of dictionaries. That's it. So every single individual row is going to get represented by a dictionary there. So how are you going to get the data there? Same thing. I'm going to run a particular, I'm going to run a for loop for a particular row, and then I can get the data by using the keys. Because this is a dictionary, I can get the data by using keys. So I'm going to say for car in cars, because I know every single row is going to be a car. So I'm going to say for car in cars, and there I can print all the different attributes of a car. For example, how do I get the model? It's exactly what I showed you earlier. You're going to say here, this is the car of in a sense, we are going to use that key there and say, hey, I need the model of a car. That's how we are going to do it. You know, It's going to be very simple if you understand what exactly is stored inside that collection. This is the company and this is the price for that company, for that car. So this is the company and this is the price. That's it. So now again, coming back here, okay, I'll put one more dash in between. So it will be easy for you to see what and where it starts, where it stops. And this is function 7. Let's run that code. And yes, exactly what I showed you earlier. I'm getting the list of cars. And again, this is a list of cars not been represented by list of tuples. This is a list of dictionaries. And when I say list of dictionaries, you see how are we changing the way we are getting the values for different attributes. So this is how we are going to solve the problem when we are having the list of dictionaries there. Okay. Vijay, your question, while delivering any topic, I request you that I'm learning any programming language for the first time. So please do take this while delivering the matter. It is a kind of request. Vijay, can you tell me what exactly the problem here is? I mean, are you thinking like I'm going a little bit faster? If that, I can slow it down. It's not a big deal. I'm going a little bit faster. Okay, no problem. Just tell me what exactly you want me to repeat. I'll repeat it one more time. Do you have any specific problem here to understand any code? If it is the case, then please tell me. We'll do it one more time. Vijay, any specific question? Okay, Digvijay, dictionary takes the unique value and key pairs. Exactly. It's one dictionary. We already have explored earlier. So if it is one dictionary, I can get the dictionary keys or dictionary values by using keys. You know, that's a model. I'm getting the cars model. Company, I'm getting the cars company. And price, I'm getting the cars price. This is only for one dictionary. What I'm doing here is I'm adding multiple dictionaries in one single list and then writing this code in a for loop. So that will give me the values for different cars. Like this is one car data. I'm just adding that in a for loop and getting multi-cars data. So what we have explored earlier is exactly same thing here. Nothing is changed. All we are doing here is I'm adding multiple dictionaries in one list and then we are running this in a for loop. That's it. There's nothing different. Yes, Digvijay, all of these dictionaries will take the unique key value pairs. Yes, I can see that. This is one dictionary having a model, company, and model, company, and price, not repeated. They are kind of unique. Digvijay, you are getting it a little bit wrong here. You are thinking about the model, company, and price. But you missed one thing. This is one dictionary, a separate dictionary. This is a separate dictionary, and this is a separate dictionary. Can you imagine when I try to look at this diagram, this will not be a list. This will be a dictionary. This will be a dictionary, and this will be a dictionary. So within this dictionary, I'll have different unique key value pairs. Within this dictionary, I'll have unique key value pairs, and within this, I'll have unique key value pairs. So Digvijay, I'm still talking about the same thing. I'm having all the unique key value pairs here. This is unique, and unique for this dictionary. For this dictionary, this is unique, and this is unique. If you do something like this, if I come back and say model here, then we are kind of, saying that one dictionary is having multiple things. So probably model, and if I say something like I-20, I-10, and let's say Skoda, for example, something like this, then what you're exactly saying is true. Digvijay, you want me to unmute? Not a big deal, I will. So probably it's a 42478.
Sir, I was saying that like we have one dictionary, let's say model, I-20, Hyundai, and price. So let's say we take another dictionary of same this model, I-20, Hyundai, and price same. Like we have two dictionaries of same key and value.
Exactly.
So it will take it as one only, or it's like a set, or like a tuple, or
no, it's a dictionary, right? Dictionary we already have seen last time. Like dictionary is a separate collection. So this is how it is going to be in the memory, to be precise. See, when you talk about this dictionary, the data will be represented like this. I'll show you an example. Probably you can understand this here. This is how the data will be represented. Maybe I can say this is the key value pairs. So this is my first one, which is going to be this way. And yeah, just give me a sec.
Can you create one more dictionary of same key and values?
I will just give me a second. I mean, I just want to represent that in a different fashion. So this is my first dictionary. Okay. This is my second dictionary. So when I say second dictionary, that simply means it will be a completely different dictionary here. That is having nothing to do with the first dictionary. So that is a completely different object which is going to get allocated on a separate memory location, and there is no connection between first and the second dictionary. That is how it is going to be. Getting the
Yeah,
point here?
correct.
Correct.
Yeah, correct.
So within this dictionary, we are having some unique key value pairs, and you see that both of these dictionaries now repeating any keys. So all of them are different: model,
Yeah.
company, and price. Now what we are doing here is like such multiple dictionaries we are representing by using one single collection. And this is how it is. So probably
Yeah.
you can say that
That's
this is my
list.
outer list like this, and this list's 0th position is pointing to this collection or this dictionary, and the second position is kind of printing or kind of showing me this particular dictionary. Are you getting it now?
Yeah, yeah, sir. That's what I was saying. That the you can you duplicate
Yes,
one more this? Yeah.
here it
So
is. You want me to take it
does it
outside or inside it?
inside it?
Huh. So that's what I said earlier as well. Even if you duplicate it multiple times, still
Hmm.
they are considered as separate objects. It doesn't matter whether the values or keys are same or not, but that is a separate memory location. What is inside, it really doesn't matter. In the sense, if I say run, you see the same card is getting printed multiple times, I-20, I-20, I-20 multiple times. So
Okay.
don't get confused between what I said earlier. I said that when you are using same keys multiple times, only the last one will be kept and the first one will be removed. In that case, the things are a little bit different. Here we are not talking about the same dictionary. Here we are talking about the separate dictionaries or separate objects. Okay.
Okay.
If
Yeah.
I say this, I mean, if I just use a model here and say, hey, this is Skoda, that's what I was talking about. If this is the
Hmm.
Skoda, then what you said is absolutely right, because you are within the same dictionary using multiple keys with the same name. Now, if I
Yeah.
try to run my code, this will not be I-20, rather that will be Skoda. Getting the point here?
Yeah. Yeah.
Exactly. So now when you talk about the collection of collections, or when you talk about the multiple collections, always remember this diagram, or always remember this diagram. What is here, that doesn't matter. I mean, it could be a list, it could be a tuple, it could be a dictionary, it can be anything. What matters is this is a separate object, this is a separate object, this is a separate object. When I say object, these are allocated on different memory locations. So what is there inside the memory location, that is secondary, but these are separate memory locations, and they will be represented by separate index values within from that outer list or outer collection. Okay,
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
no problem, absolutely. Okay. Yes, that's good. Digvijay, that's correct. Now where are we? Vijay, you are saying multidimensional array, but can you please be precise? I mean, I'm not getting what exactly the problem here is. I mean, if you were having the problem, you should have told me earlier, like this is the problem I'm not getting. I would have repeated it. But nevertheless, if you're having a specific question, ask me right now. I can answer that question. Okay. Preeti, in this, cannot we use a variable in like earlier can like model? No, you can't. So what you're talking about here, Preeti, how's that again? Preeti, sorry. So when you're talking about this dictionary cannot be extracted. Once, I mean, the one which I showed you here, or maybe the one which I showed you here, this is a special case. This is a special case only for list of tuples. And this is not a special case, to be very precise. It is just because of the way tuple works. You know, this is a tuple, and tuple can be extracted into different variables. So Preeti, you can't do it for dictionary. It can be done only for a list of tuples. Okay. Dipanjan, in function 7, cars is a list of dictionary. Is that correct? Of course, yes. I mentioned that it's a list of dictionaries. Did I mention it here? Yes, I did. List of dictionaries. Absolutely right. Okay. Chandrakant, your question, he was asking for can list contain multiple duplicate dictionaries? Yes, yeah, I got it now. So basically the question is, can we have multiple dictionaries having the same data in one single collection? The answer is true, because every single dictionary will be allocated on different memory locations. What comes inside that memory location, or what is getting allocated inside that memory location, it doesn't matter. What matters is these are different objects. So ultimately, yes, you can have multiple dictionaries having the same data inside one single collection. Okay. Okay, Vijay, one more request. When you are having any question, please ask immediately. Like what these guys are asking the question, ask immediately. Like, can you repeat this one? Or I'm not getting this. Can you just go for this one more concept? I would give multiple examples to, so that you can understand the point. This is my request. Is it okay for you, Vijay? Okay, no problem. So whenever you are having any question, I would request you to ask the question right on that moment so that we all be on the same context and we can understand that, or we can go for one more example and try to get the points. But again, I'm a little bit curious, like which topic in the multidimensional you did not get, or it's a little bit difficult for you to understand, or is the entire multidimensional collection itself? Ent entire collection. So I would request you one more. Were you there from the beginning when we started the multidimensionalist, by the way, or were you kind of dropped off or because of the network? You were there from the beginning, right? So I have a request right now. So can you just rewind the video and go through it one more time and see if it is possible, or if not, then can you ask the question separately on my WhatsApp? I can answer that question there. Is that okay? Sure, no problem. So go through it one more time. Anyways, the sessions are being recorded. That's a good thing. So you can go through it one more time, try to see what exactly you missed or what exactly is a little bit difficult to understand. And if it's still not solving your problem, put a question on WhatsApp. I'll try to answer it there. Okay, not a problem. Okay, being said that, I think we are kind of done with that collection. Collection is the important topic. Don't forget that. A collection is the one with which you can store multiple data. We can process multiple data, and it is one of the first steps in data science programs or machine learning programs, for example. So, for example, when you talk about the multiple data getting processed, you have to first put that data into the collection. And when I say collection, it can be a collection of collections, like multidimensional collections, or it can be a single dimensional collections, whatever it is, it should be a collection. Anyways, I think we are done with that. Now, tomorrow we are going to talk about few more advanced topics, So probably for a few more advanced topics, like again, on the collection itself, we're going to talk about the map filter, not reduce, but map and filter. So tomorrow we'll see some more advanced use cases. And tomorrow we are going to switch our world. I mean, till now, whatever we were doing, it was kind of procedure oriented programming, or you can say it's a scripting part. Starting from tomorrow, we are going to enter in the new world. Those who are going to learn this for the first time, I'm talking about object oriented programming. We'll start again from the beginning. We'll start again from the scratch, and we'll see how far we can go. Okay. Okay, no problem. Utpal, I think that's a business decision, so we can't change that for sure. Anyways, we'll discuss that later, maybe once we are done with the entire course. Okay. Anyways, let's call it a day today, guys. We'll continue this discussion further tomorrow, and we are going to talk about some advanced cases tomorrow. So be there on the same context tomorrow, because we need whatever we have discussed today till today, tomorrow's case. So please be there and be in the context. Anyways, thank you very much for attending today's sessions, guys. I think I'll see you tomorrow exactly at 8 o'clock in the morning. So by the time, so I'll take a leave. Have a very good day ahead. Bye bye. We'll see you tomorrow.